Hello, friends. As you know, my name is Bill, and you're watching Bill's Box of Sound. Now, about a year ago, on June 12th, 2021, for Record Store Day, there were two Steely Dan releases that came out. The album Everything Must Go, which is Record of the Year for 2000, Grammy Award winner, and also Everything Must Go, the last Steely Dan album, which was issued in 2003, I believe. Okay, so yeah, this is the first vinyl release of both of these albums. Now, Two Against Nature was released, two records, three sides, last side etched, and it was cut by Scott Hall at Masterdisc. He was one of the original engineers that worked on this album. And Everything Must Go was put out on a single record and mastered by Bernie Grundman at his mastering lab. And I think there was about 3,000 copies total of those made. I probably have that number wrong. But I paid like $25 for this because it was a single record. And because this is a two-record set, I paid close to $39, $40. Okay? And they sounded really good. They were mastered nicely. And they were pressed by Optimal in Germany. But those copies got snapped up real quickly. Nowadays, if you want a copy of one of these, they go for anywhere between $50 and $120 a piece. Because people want Steely Dan on vinyl. Who could blame them? What's not to love? I know that there's a lot of people that say, oh, these are the two weakest albums in Steely Dan's catalog. But still, they're awfully Dan good. Oh, that was a terrible dad joke. Anyway, so how surprised was I when I saw an ad for Analogue Productions saying both of these albums are coming out as two-record 45 RPM versions. I thought, holy crap, you're kidding me. And I pre-ordered immediately. And here they are. They just came the other day. Both of them are gatefolds. There's Two Against Nature right there. And 45 RPM goodness, Stoughton jackets. Here's the one for Everything Must Go. And strangely enough, they were cut by the same people. Two Against Nature was cut by Scott Hall at Masterdisc, and Everything Must Go was cut by Bernie Grundman. And these are pressed at QRP in Kansas by Analogue Productions, because it is, as it says on the side, an Analogue Productions production. So, I'm wondering, were these both cut at the same time and we were just not told of the impending 45 RPM? Forget that, Bill, you're saying. How do they sound? Well, let's first talk about Two Against Nature. Well, actually, in general, both of these, they do sound better. The detail is just amazing. I mean, the 33 versions, they sound great. Quiet vinyl, and the mastering's pretty well done. But there's just little improvements that the 45 RPM version does. And I know you're saying, well, I don't want to get up and change the side every 11 minutes, but it sounds so good, I really don't mind doing that. I mean, for example, let's take just a couple of songs on Steely Dan. The first two, as a matter of fact, to Gaslighting Abbey. There's a snapping snare drum that goes along with it. Just seems to have an extra pop on it on the 45. And What a Shame About Me, at the beginning, there's these bells that go shimmering across the speakers. There's just an extra detail to them that helps out with a little bit less sibilance. But just overall, it's easier to pick out instruments. The stereo spread is there. And because they were pressed at QRP, one of the best pressing plants in the world, the surfaces on these records are dead quiet. Maybe on side 4 of this, I might have heard just a little bit more surface noise, but then again, I just kept on cranking it up because it sounded so good, and I wasn't hearing any distortion, that maybe I just turned it up so I could hear the surface noise a little bit more. And say, for example, with some of the songs on Everything Must Go, I'm trying to think, in things I missed the most, there's like, there's 3 guitars on it. There's the solo guitar, and there's the 2 rhythm guitars, one in each channel, and it's just with the little chicks that was in one of the guitars, I could just hear the reverb so much nicer, and it just blended in with everything. And think about it. You can still get, as I make this video on June what? It is June the 5th, 2022. These are in stock. I don't know how many of these are going to make, but they're available. They're about $60 a piece, which is less than you can get one of the original Record Store Day versions for. Not only that, the jackets are nice and thick, okay? With these, you get a very thin jacket and a insert. With these, you get the gatefold. You get the thick jacket. Just so many nice improvements on these. So yeah, these are definitely an improvement. Everything Must Go and 2 Against Nature, 2 Steely Dan albums, and now everybody is wondering, how about the rest of the Steely Dan albums? Are they coming out soon? We don't know, because at one time there was a news story about the Universal Studios fire where a bunch of master tapes got burned, and a lot of people were saying that Steely Dan was among the victims in those fires. But I have also heard other stories that there are copies of the master tapes around the world. Maybe they were being loaned out to somebody during that time. I also heard that the original engineer, Roger Nichols, kept first-generation copies of just about everything he worked on. Now, he has, since these albums came out, passed away, but he worked on all the old Steely Dan albums. I'm wondering if there are copies in his estate that they would be able to use for Steely Dan albums. But if these are any indication, and they can resurrect those old Steely Dan albums, oh man, shut up and take my money. That's all I have to say. So I even read something where the original multi-tracks for the Steely Dan albums are in Universal's Philadelphia warehouse or tape storage. So I don't know. All I know is that if this is what you got to offer us, I want more. So very happy to get these. Any questions, any answers that you have? I want to thank you for watching the video. And of course, like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Had a great time. Hope you did too. Now go listen to some Steely Dan. Take care.